circular camera mount was. So kind of piqued my interest. Oh, wow. Well, I guess that's a fresh one. Mmm. Oh, boo. Wow, this is big bananas, baby. It's like go big or go home. It's almost as big as my shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. So it looks like the mount looks good. Okay. Um. So on Fox News and maybe other news outlets, they're talking about the Idaho college murders being the work of an incel. Well, if you watch enough true crime stories and stuff, you know. I mean, this incel theory. What do I think about the for those that don't know, involuntary celibate is somebody who wants to have sexual intercourse with a female, but they can't. This is usually a male, so it's usually not a female worrying about where she's going to get. Even fat ladies are like, I can get penis anytime I want. Like it's like they say that out loud sometimes. You know, they're not as classy as some of the others, but. Yeah, I remember a fat girl one time I was working with. She was like, I can get dick anytime. She's like, I can hook that shit up. And maybe some guy would be like, yeah, man, you're real fat. Like, you're not that good. You have like way too many warts. But maybe, some guy gets desperate one night and he's like, man, I just need to hit some shit. And he needs to smash. I guess that's what they call it these days. Oh, I smashed it. And that was I guess the old phrase was I banged. We banged it up. We knocked the boots or we banged. But now it's, I guess, smash is like the popular vernacular right now, for better or worse. I don't know why. Every generation, I mean, it's just a function of language. People think they're cool. They're coming up with a new word for the same old shit. Like New Kids on the Block, they call masturbation fat. Well, I guess masturbation would be like the more clinical scientific word to use, but like fap is just so much easier. Or people my generation would call it like jerking off. And to me, that's like funnier, jerking or smacking the chicken, or the other one that the guy would say pulling the pud. I remember some guy said, "Hey man, you don't got a girlfriend?" When I was like, he had a girlfriend, like, but he already knocked up a girl in high school, and he's like, "Hey man, you don't have a girlfriend?" He's like, "What do you do all the time? Pull your pud?" I remember that. That was so funny. If you pull your pud all the time. You have a meeting with Rosie and her 5 sisters, and that was the old joke too. That made me laugh. But yeah, what does this need by society to rename things that are already named? It's just like every new generation comes along, they think they're better than the next generation, and they come up with some new fucking word for some old shit. It's unnecessary, but they do that. So it's unnecessary, but it might be like a functioning of language. So that's why that occurs. But we're not talking about the slang of languages, slanguage over the decades and why that changes right now, even though that is a fascinating topic. We're talking about the 4 college kids murdered in the Idahomicides. They're coming out with a new story every day, and it's just like, so the police took the cars for evidence of the 4 students. So they finally removed they towed away all the cars. 5 cars were towed away from the property Tuesday night to be stored and processed for evidence after several inches of snow had settled on the vehicles. Police did disclose who owned each of the cars. I thought someone was beaming up Scotty. But this isn't Star Trek. I forgot. It kind of feels like Star Trek, except I don't have a quantum teleportation unit. So that's the only problem. If I had that, it'd be cool. Or if you had the molecular medicine thing, like where you get an injury and you go, oh, you feel better. I wish it was like that. Yeah, the the medical care and the transportation in Star Trek is like perfecto. If we can get there, then we'll be in it. But this is a nice start to Star Trek, right? This is a good start track. It's like Scotty, beat me up. This is like a good beginning to it. But anyhow. I'm detecting lethal radiation in the air. Oh, I detected a canine life form. Yeah, if we can get there, we'll be good. Scotty, beat me up to the titty bar. Yeah, bring the Jim Beam. Just shit just automatically. Yeah, that'd be a great world. But it says the Moscow. Well, I'll show you what it says, so you don't think I'm just making shit up here. So you can swivel this camera. Yeah, that's cool. We got a big screen TV. This is my man lair, or my bat cave, or whatever they call that. The Moscow Police Department, the Idaho State Police, and the FBI have been combing the 3-story home for evidence after baffling November 13th murders of the University of Idaho students Ethan Chapin, 20, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Zanya Kernodle, 20, and Madison Mogan, 20. That's a pretty cool name, Zanya. That's like Xanadu, like paradise. Yeah. She does look pretty paradise, doesn't she? Yeah. So, it'd be hard to, I mean, and then there's 2 other blonde dorm mates. What kind of fraternity is this where you get 5 chicks? Like, I wish I would have went to college and had that fraternity set up. I guess it's dormitory living spaces, not the actual sorority or fraternity. Man. Five girls for every dude. Was he that much of a player, Pimp Daddy? I mean, he looks like a fine young man to me. He looks like a pretty outstanding young man to me, but, well, it is Idaho. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm saying, like, there's probably not much going on in that town, so probably the chicks were flocking flocking to the tall, young, collie. Other 4 blondes could get there, I guess. I mean, honestly, his girl looks like run of the mill. And I don't know if that ever caused, conflicts in their relationships, or or if they're blinded by the high school sweetheart thing, and they're not really looking, their eyes aren't looking coveting in other places. But those blondes are just dazzling, especially her. She looks plain Jane, and then she looks, pretty sweet blonde. What, she even got the hazel or the blue eyes or the green eyes to boot or something crazy? Damn. It's like 6 is company. Come on, knock on my door. Everything's waiting for you. It looks like a Big Bang Theory setup going on, huh? Except without the quantum engineers. All right. Except without that. So it's just towing the vehicle, towing before it gets too crazy with the snowing. And you got Pimp Daddy, you got Plain Jane, and then you got you got Skin and Rails but cute, and then you got Playmate of the Year over here. Is that, yeah? So there's Playmate right there. Look at those. They got more curves than Einstein in there. That's E equals MC butt. MC equals MC booty right there. Holy shit. E equals MC ass. Oh. You like big butts and you like them so round. So one of the Sir Mix-a-Lot, yeah. You're a butt lover. Always have been, always will, until the final day. Oh, farted. Sorry about that. Sorry about the flatulence there. At 11:58 a.m. on November 13th, police responded to a 911 call of an unconscious person and came upon the grisly scene. Okay, so apparently 2 girls slept on the bottom floor, the basement floor near the garage. Or as some of us joke in Texas, the gay Raj. Gay Raj. That would be funny if you had a friend he was gay. His name was Gay Raj. Roger. They call me Gay Raj. Jolly Roger. The victims were found on the home's second and third floors with multiple stab wounds to their chest area, according to police in Mata County Coroner Kathy Butt. My butt? How do they know I wanted the butt? They're like, name it. God is a like practical joker, huh? My butt. My butt. My butt. Okay. So sink that in that it says butt. All right. We're not in 3rd grade anymore. My butt said the victims were likely ambushed in their sleep and some had defensive wounds. Okay. Ambushed in their sleep. 2 female roommates who were at the home at the time of the attack were unharmed. So they didn't kill these 2 girls because the authorities believe that the killer didn't know that the 2 girls were there. Otherwise, he would have killed everybody, right? Or at least that's the theory. Well, I was watching a crime story where a guy stalked a house out in the country, and it had a man and a woman, and there was 2 little kids, and there was a teenage son. He managed to kill all of them because of basically a lot of these situations. There was an escaped Mexican drug convict who escaped in Texas, and he went to a rural. He escaped from Centerville, and then he found another family of 4 out in the country on a like retreat after one of the kids graduated high school from Tomball, Texas. And so, anyways, in both these cases, there seems to be an element of compliance. So the people, they wake up eventually when they notice the guy threatening with a knife or a gun, but then they let themselves be tied up or they're killed one by one. So in this case, though, it seems like all 4 were together, but still, if everybody's sleeping, especially if they're like college kids passed out from weed and beer and liquor, if they feel really, really, really cozy, and it's a nice, like kind of country cozy town, a lot of times doors can be left open. So the murders of the family of 5 by a sadistic sexual child predator, that one where he kidnapped the little girl Shasta, that particular one, the back door was left open. The dogs didn't wake up everyone. The family was unable to get to their firearms in time. A lot of times the families are caught off guard, especially if it's one perpetrator can be bad, but if it's 2, then you have even double trouble because then they can secure more of the environment. Typically, the men are paranoid about the men, so they try to take out the men first because they figure the men are going to offer the most resistance, and they figure the women typically will be more docile and try to reconcile. So, yeah. So that's pretty much how a lot of criminals think, is that men are going to cause a problem and women are just going to roll over and just say, take my money, don't kill me. And yeah, tie me up, just don't hurt me. The problem is that when you're dealing with sadistic serial killers and sexual, sadistic, demonic kind of monsters, they're not going to, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So the problem with compliance is compliance itself. So that's what they call like where you just give it up, where you just say, yeah, you can have it, it's yours. Just don't you try to make a negotiation to save you and your family. Maybe you get tied up, um, and you say, well, if he ties us all up, maybe he'll just take the money or something, and maybe he's after some stuff. Maybe he's after our wallets. Maybe he's after the cash or the stash or the safe, and maybe he's not going to hurt us. I think that's even if you wake up in the dead of the night to a perpetrator, I think that's a really bad decision. I would say you should fight back immediately, because then the perpetrator or perpetrators would be stunned that they're getting assaulted. And but you never know unless you're faced with this situation what you would really do. Um, so it's really on a case by case basis. What the killer of the family of five did, and there's only one of the family members, the little girl, because he wanted to rape the little girl or groom her or something. In that case, was able to survive. All the other family members were dead. Um, so I think negotiation is a bad tactic, right? Yeah. I think compliance is a bad tactic, because it just doesn't seem that if you're dealing with somebody who's a serial killer or very sadistic, that you want to. Oh, they got Safeways still over there. They got Safeways in Idaho still. Safeway. Yeah, they got rid of all the Safeways in Texas because of HEB and Walmart's, and well, I think Randall's is going out of business too. But look, they have the place Taco Time. Taco Time. Hell yeah. Okay, Todd County prosecutor Bill Thompson told Court TV in an interview Tuesday that he wants to see the perpetrators face up to what they've done in our courts in front of a jury of our citizens in our community, and to be held accountable. Police say they had not yet determined whether there was more than one assailant. Okay, so a lot of people think it's there was a old Star Trek episode where Cleon Kang, he says, I might use a lot of analogies and stuff here, even if they're not. Well, they're going to be relevant. I remember one guy goes up to Kang in the old Star Trek episode, and he says, one man running in the night can slit 1,000 throats. Now, to kind of inspire, because they were at a numbers disadvantage. They had 12 Cleons, and they had 450 Federations on the Starship Enterprise. And so we're kind of looking for, well, I thought it would link this article, right? So does it just link all the stories together, like on a timeline? That's what I was looking for. It should, right? Homicide. Well, or we could do incel theory. No, you did not just see big boobies in my search engine. That's not in there. It never was. All right, so incel theory. So incel is involuntary celibate. It means they want to have sex with females, but they don't know how to get it done, right? Incel theory. For the Idaho murders, right? Okay. Oh, there it is. Should I continue the human race, or should I just die? That's an interesting dilemma. Idaho murders. Law enforcement should not dismiss incel angle, experts say. Moscow police said they're looking at every avenue during the investigation of the University of Idaho students' murders. Okay, more than 2 weeks after 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death in their off-campus residence, police still have not identified a suspect or located a murder weapon. Forensic psychologist Chris Mohandy, I bet he's Mohandy, said that the brutal nature of the murders, combined with the appearance of the victims as popular students on campus, leads him to believe that law enforcement should take a close look at the suspect potentially being an incel. So do you remember what it's like to work with a whole bunch of women, be around a whole bunch of young women in a like university or well, I worked at this movie theater with like 150 people when I was like 19. And there was a lot of girls. Now to get like a plain Jane girl, like a girl with low self-esteem, that she's not the hottest girl. See, that would probably be pretty easy if you were a young, handsome, tall young man. Incel, which is short for involuntary celibate, refers to a misogynistic subculture of romantically frustrated men who frequently share their anger online about not being able to find a partner. There's a lot of hatred and anger that is evidenced in these crimes. The level of violence, the resolve, the obvious hostility in such a personal hands-on attack. Mohandy told Fox News Digital. That is a lot of intensity. So it is not inconsistent with somebody that may have that kind of motivation. There's something hateful and rage-filled about it. Okay, so these geniuses on the case realize that a guy stabbing 4 people to death is probably an angry person. Yeah, but it's indicative of something else besides just, of course, the rage is there. I think that's pretty obvious to state that. If you killed 4 people in cold blood, obviously you're. It kind of stands out, goes without saying that you're probably angry about something or someone. You definitely have a rage, or you're a psychopath. So serial killer, something like that. You're a sadistic, demonic monster. So authorities believe that the attack was targeted, but they have not identified who was targeted or why they believe that to be the case. Additionally, Goncalves made statements before the murders that she may have had a stalker, but authorities have not been able to corroborate those claims. These are kids, adult kids, living their life, experiencing happiness, being spontaneous and carefree. And that's going to stimulate somebody that either felt entitled to have had a relationship with one or more of them. Mohandy, give it up for your boy Mohandy, because that boy is Mohandy. For individuals that feel on the outside looking in, that's going to create envy and hate. Sarah Daly, a criminology researcher at St. Vincent College who has studied the subculture of involuntary celibates, noted that it would be premature to say the killer in this case comes from the incel community, but the circumstances of the murders could potentially. Let me see, the kind of switched or something. What the hell happened? Oh, it's up here. Could potentially provide clues. Okay. I can certainly see how people might suspect an incel killer in this case, particularly because the 4 victims are young and attractive, thus fitting the Chad and Stacy reference that incels often use on their forums. I wouldn't say that this guy is like a massive pimp. He just looks like a dude, like a regular dude. I mean, I don't think he's really any more handsome than me when I was 20. Or he does have a lot of sexual opportunities with females. I mean, definitely so. Daly noted that most men who identify as incels are likely more of a suicide risk than a homicide risk, but there have been some instances of real-world violence from the community. Okay. Shortly after 25-year-old Alec Manassian killed 10 people in April 2018 by mowing them down with a rental van in Toronto, Canada, he posted on the Facebook that the Incel rebellion has already begun. In that Facebook post, Manassian referenced Elliot Roger, a 22-year-old man who murdered 6 people during a 2014 rampage in Isla Vista, California, including 2 women outside a sorority house. In the months leading up to the attack, he wrote about his hatred for women in a 137-page manifesto, according to the Associated Press. James Fitzgerald, a former FBI criminal profiler, said that the detectives are likely already looking into the suspect potentially being an incel. While most of them, the vast majority, are not violent, some do have a violent ideation, and they want to carry out threats and actually take actions against people. Fitzgerald told Fox News on Friday. Is it possible that they saw the young woman here as Stacy's? That's the nickname for the attractive women, or the young man Ethan as a Chad? That's something that I know the profilers and behavioralists are looking into. Detectives have received more than 1,000 tips in Moscow Police Chief James Fry, and last week that they are looking at every avenue during the investigation. Wouldn't it be bad to? I think it would be worse. You know, it'd be like the worst thing probably is if you were trying to like pick up one of these young women that were single, and someone wrote in the comments, in other words, the police don't know, they don't know jack shit. That was funny. So can you imagine if you're like being investigated by the FBI or being interviewed just because like one time somebody remembered you trying to pick up the blonde girl with the nice booty, and then she says, "Oh hell no, you're not even in my league." And so some poor guy gets rejected, right? And then all of a sudden, like police show up at his door and shit. That'd be fucked up. If they even know about it, that is. Like if there was somebody who didn't like some other guy, right? That was trying to crime of passion. Okay. It's just all these old news stories. This is all old news. So Idaho's. Oh, look at that mossy building. That looks really just like classic right there. Almost English. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice church. Yeah. Get your Jesus on, boy. Save your soul. Repent. Oh, look at that. Is that it's like the fucking Commons or something, huh? Look, that's fucking kick-ass Commons. Get your studies on up and there. But it's going to be hard to study when you see those blondies walk by. But if you want some booty, you're going to have to study a lot. So, oh, wow. Look at that fucking, that's it. Damn, that looks like an expensive stadium. That looks kick-ass. That facility's top-ass notch, huh? I bet you have some badass concerts in there, too. I wonder if they have some rock concerts in there, man. That's really, it's probably just used for sports only, but damn. But, no, they probably use it. It's probably multi-purpose, but dude, that looks like a professional. That looks expensive. 1889, University of Idaho. That campus looks sweet. Oh, they do like remodeling shots. Is this the cafeteria or something? Or is that just like where people are studying? That looks like where you get your books or the random Chinese dude, I guess. The Vandals. That's what's up. That's the research center where they research. Looks like the social life is fucking booming. Okay. Where's the cafeteria at, dude? Where can you get like a chicken sandwich? They don't show that. Chicken sandwich. Is that the little movie theater, or is that's just a classroom problem? Conference room or something? We know Chinese. Ding, ding, ding. No. Where's your white women at? Doing, doing, doing. We have heard of the blondes. We have traveled far for them. Okay. Doing, doing, doing. Oh, look. Okay, so they got the gymnasium. Oh, how's the racquetball court though? Look, you can watch TV while you're doing cardio. That's fucking the shit. Speaking of cardio, man, I think I'm about to go hit the track myself. It kind of inspires me. That inspires me right now. Oh yeah, dude, you gotta love a good college courtyard. You got the tree, and
Yeah, that's what's up right there. Got the flowers. That's a proper college campus. You got the weeping willow and love it. You got that eye in the background. This looks scary. They should just put like an eyeball, like the eye of Sauron or the eye of Satan down there on there. Look even creepier in the background. Oh yeah. Now that looks regal. Yeah, this is a nice campus. People working out. Love it. For the footballs. Oh, okay, the theater. You have the artsy fartsy parts. The artsy fartsy partsy. Yeah, we're in the theater doing theater. Oh, and then oh yes, there it is. Ooh, the river and the autumn trees. Then you really get the vibe. What are they doing? Like building it looks like they're building like another like a music place. So this has pretty much everything. I mean, I haven't seen what the cafeteria looks like, but probably people probably aren't focusing on where they get the chicken wings because that's probably not what people probably take pictures of when they visit here or they go here. They're probably not like, oh, I'm getting some chicken tenders. That's not. They're not thinking like I am. Like I wonder where they get the cheeseburgers. Look at these beautiful Idahoan vistas. But trouble came down to paradise, did it not? Layout of Idaho College home shows where the murders took place, where they got a map. This Republicans don't support women's rights or something. And most of the women, that's divide and conquer. You might get women to be fooled by that and vote for the Democrats. So if you're looking at divide and conquer in, or maybe Joe Biden and Harris, they go, the Republicans don't care about black people. Well, then, if they have a lot of women voters and minority voters, then then they divide and conquer. That's an old strategy to get what you want, is to pit people against each other. It's not ethical. It's just that politicians and people do it to get their way, to maintain and to seize power. That's how they do it. Now, a lot of people like us are wise to that, but not everybody's wise to lifestyle of Jack Ritter and his 5 honeys. That is, that's an interesting theory, I guess, but very interesting theory, but it very well could be. I think these are crimes of opportunity. I think somebody's killing people because they hate people and they're angry. They like to kill and torture people. I think there's a lot the police haven't told the public about gruesomely stabbed, but they didn't say to the extreme in which they were stabbed. They didn't say if this guy is showing traits of being a serial killer, if he's cutting off their skin, if he's saving body parts, shit like that. They're not releasing that because they don't want to upset the community and have the community and shit. It's already in shit spewing fear to begin with. But if they released every gory, gruesome detail of the slayings, then guess what? Then people would be even more scared. They'd start. The first stupid thing that people do in small towns and country and rural areas is that they leave their doors unlocked. A lot of people might criticize young people for partying or something like that, but hey, that's just the college lifestyle. It's beer and babes and and I guess there's school or education somewhere in there. I'm not saying that colleges bong rips and keg blasts for everybody, but that is part of the lifestyle is having having some good parties. So it's not unusual that younger people would go out, especially if they're 21, and go to the club, go to the pub, and then come back by 2 a.m. And then the killers that are the sadistic ones, they like to hit about 3 or 4 in the morning because that's the sweet spot to catching everybody off guard. And a lot of these home invasions and slayings, that's when it occurs. And they're also looking for easy opportunity. They're looking for easy access. And they may have been doing reconnaissance. So in the slain family of 4, but there was 5, the little girl only survived because the man wanted to sex her up, wanted to, do god awful things to her, is the only reason why she was kept alive. But in that case, there was compliance, there was an open door, and there wasn't easy access for the family to weapons. Before they could fight back, it was already too late. They were already tied up or beat up and severely injured. So if you're severely injured, you can't fight back as hard. And so if this guy came in and just slashed these people real quick, the first injury is going to slow them down. They're going to start bleeding. If he stabbed them again, they're going to be even more disabled. So if they're all sleeping in the same bed together, which is, I don't know, I don't think my girlfriend would allow me to sleep with 2 to 4 other women in the same bed or something. I mean, I don't know about. I don't think this is an open relationship. I think these people are just so comfortable sleeping together. And in Idaho, I guess it gets cold, and so it just seemed like a warm and fuzzy kind of fun relationship. So obviously, these people are so close where they trust one another, apparently implicitly. So I know if I had a girlfriend, they'd be like, "We can't sleep with 3 other girls tonight in the same bed." Maybe you get one that's jealous or overprotective or whatnot, but it looks like people are peas in a pod, that they're very, very close. So yeah, I mean, it could be an angry guy who lives in the basement, in his grandma's basement, and he saw these people, and it sent him into a rage, like Elliot Rogers or some other person. But I'm really thinking that this seems like a cold, calculated, sadistic murder, crime of opportunity. It's where somebody spots somebody and then they start to see their patterns. And I mean, this is like a guy that's, like hanging out in the woods with binoculars. This is some fucking, this was like planned. And if it wasn't planned, then it was just a crime of opportunity where somebody wanted to kill somebody in a house that was vulnerable and they found the door unlocked. And they knew that these kids somehow were fucked up. And it was after, it was in that sweet spot of home invasion, which is like from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or something like that. So it's a sweet spot of home invasion because, the bars close at 2. And you can't get any more alcohol after midnight in a lot of states. So probably fucked up and they're impaired. So if I'm messed up and I leave a door open, I'm leaving an invitation towards by myself. I'm going to be really paranoid. I'm going to lock all the doors and I'm not going to go to a club and I'm not going to stay out late and I'm not going to make foolish decisions. But if I have roommates, though, one might want to stay somewhere out late and the door, they might get fucked up and try to go get more beer or go to the club and then leave a door. Somebody has access to the house. And then guess what? we're all fucked, because if that person or persons has a lot of weapons and they wait till we pass out, you could wake up with a gun or a fucking knife in your face, or worse, you could just start getting assaulted by a hammer or whatever easily, because you're already wasted and you're sleeping and you're not prepared for it. So I think this is a situation where they just made a pretty massive mistake. Do I think it's somebody they know? I think it's someone they do not know. I think this is a serial sadistic killer. I don't think this is somebody in school that was, you know, I'm going to be very, very surprised if it's somebody who was going after one of the babes and one of the blonde girls, and the girl said, no, no way in hell we're never, ever, ever getting together. And, go blank your, fuck off. I don't think so at all. This is too much. This is not even like, a lot of guys have the self-esteem and the wherewithal to say, you know what? Okay, I got rejected by the babe. In like back in the day with girls around me, yeah, it's easy to get the low self-esteem or the plain Jane girl a lot of times. The blondes, the prettier babes, you got to bring more game. You got to be like, you got to tell them that you have a future and you're going to make a lot of money. You got to really bring a game. It's got to be like, oh yeah, I'm joining the Air Force or the Space Force or something. You got to have some shit where they can go to their mom and dads and be like, hey, guess what? I got a boyfriend. Does he? And then the dad's going to be like, does he have a job and a car? And he goes, yeah, he's not a loser. And he's joining the Space Force. And then the dad goes, oh, you should date him. He's probably has a future. Like, that guy sounds like he has his shit together, or he's going to college or something. So if the dads, like the women kind of live through their friends, they live through their family, and they don't live vicariously, just through their own lens. Women are like pack animals. They're like, they live through a communal type sense. Men are more stag, they're more loners, they're more like lone wolves. They don't like to be in huge packs unless it serves, some greater goal. So, in a social sense, so like women, where if when you're a young man, all the women come around, even the pretty ones, because they want to see what you got to offer. They at least go. They're like, women love shopping, right? So they like to go through the different products and see what's the best product. So that's why women just love shopping, and they have to make a decision who's the best mate, and they have to weed out the bad options, and they have to find the best options to have a future, and the bad options, and they have to find the best options to have a future and have a family and raise, have children and raise children and all that. So that's why, the women, as Dr. Jordan Peterson said, are so choosy, because they have to be, because if they get saddled with somebody who's a loser or does not make enough money to pay for their children or something, then it's going to be a bad, or somebody, addicted to drugs or whatever the case may be, whatever the negative case may be, then their lives are in jeopardy, and the lives of their children. So they're not going to make that choice. So yeah, it's going to be usually harder to get the more attractive chicks, because they're going to know they're more attractive usually, and they're going to be more picky about their male mating selection process. So if one of these girls had a choice between a guy who's joining the Air Force and a dude who's working at taco time, without much plans for the future, she's going to pick the guy who joined the Air Force or is getting the engineering degree or whatever. And she's not going to pick the guy that's like, oh yeah, I'm just working at taco time, because they're going to know that he might be tall, he might be handsome, the taco time guy, but he may get rejected because he doesn't have a future to offer financially or socially or otherwise for the female. So that's, rejection 101. I mean, that's modern rejection right there. Is like, if you're working back and save at the taco time, the Taco Bell or whatever, it doesn't mean that you can't get a friend, or it's just you may get rejected in the competition. So in that competitive environment for womans, it is a highly competitive environment. I'm sorry, but if you're a poor kid, okay, you're a poor kid, and there's a rich kid who comes along, guess what? 9 times out of 10, the woman's going to pick. She's going to be gold digging and looking around for the rich. A lot of guys can't accept that. The reality of the situation is that these are going to pick the dude with the most money and the most opportunities and the brightest future. How the shit goes in modern capitalistic postmodern society. Now, I know that for a lot of guys, this is a hard, nasty pill to swallow, but it's the truth. What's love got to do with it? Tina Turner. Love has little to do with paying the bills. Loyalty has little to nothing to do with paying the bills. So I'm going to stick with serial killer theory and think that spurned former boyfriend, while that is a particular typical motivation, this crime seems so brutal and so thorough and so bloody that I think it's I think it's like a Ted Bundy type character. I really do. I think it's somebody who's yeah, a lot of people might say, well, what about the other 2 roommates that survived? Well, if they're on the first floor and they're sleeping in a room on the parking level, and then the killer enters, the second and third floor, and he kills the other students, but they don't make a noise because they don't know what's going on because they're dazed from partying and they're passed out, and so the killer gets to do what he wants to do while the other girls are passed out, probably from partying and so forth. And they, wake up with a hangover at 11 a.m., 12 a.m. the next day. And they're like, oh crap. When they discover the horror, when they find the bodies upstairs, and then they make the 911 call, they're in shock. They're going to be like in a shock. So their best friends and dorm mates are murdered, brutally stabbed to death, and they're alive, so they're like thanking God, but they're in total and complete agony. And then they have a hangover and a headache, and then they call the police, and then the nightmare really begins. That's the beginning of the nightmare, not just the headache and the hangover, but when you have to wake up to and you start to have like post-traumatic stress disorder, you're going to have fucking nightmares and bodies and all that shit. And so they're going to have anxiety. They're going to have a lot of psychological problems that are going to inhibit their behavior in life. They may be able to move on and get over it, with psychiatrists and university counselors and stuff like that. But so but I don't think the police released a lot of the gory details because they didn't want to tell people how bad it was. So if I wake up from a party and I find that most of the people are dead after the party, and I've been sleeping in another room or something, I didn't hear anything, and I walk outside and my best friends are carved up like they're filleted and their skin's everywhere and the blood's everywhere, and I'm seeing gruesome scenes. It's going to be, a very traumatic experience, that because it's real life. It's not a horror movie. It's not a video game. It's not a TV show. It's not any of that. It's really fucking happening. So that's going to have a deep psychological traumatic impact in a way that those other fake things aren't going to.
because they're not real. So you find your friends filleted and dead on the floor, and then blood everywhere, and then you have to awake, and then you have to dial the police, and the bodies are starting to stink, and rigor mortis is setting in, and your thoughts are racing, your anxiety, your pulse, your adrenaline is spiking, everything is just going out of control. It's all out of whack, and then you got to deal with the fucking aftermath and all this shit too. It's gonna be too much. It could be, overwhelming, unfortunately, for some people. So, yeah, I think this is a guy who travels around looking for opportunities. I think he's looking for houses that are kind of like in this rural, kind of sleepy, small towns kind of thing, and he's looking for those really cozy relationships. And authorities have said the other 3 stabbings in Idaho weren't related, a couple and a lady, but they were also killed apparently on the 13th. So I don't know if this is the 13th serial killer, or if, I don't know if there's a pattern serial killer in Idaho, or if this is just a random, passionate, he just hates women and he just wants to kill pretty blondes or something. I'm not exactly sure. What I don't know if the authorities even have a criminal profile what this could be. It's very, so the longer the time goes on, the more mysterious and hopefully not cold the case gets. But this will be an interesting case to follow because it is such a gripping the nation, and it is also a huge murder. This is like a big time who done it, and also people are gonna want to know not just who done it, but who they are, why would they do something like this. They're going to want to know all of that stuff. So if this case goes totally cold, it's going to be a real tragedy. So I'm hoping that the police and the FBI and the Idaho State Police will be able to find somebody, a perpetrator or perpetrators who have done this. It's unfortunate that there's no witnesses in any of this crimes, but God forbid that he strikes again. If I was in Idaho, I would always keep my doors at least locked at night, and I'd probably invest in a firearm or a knife myself. So God bless and best of success. May the authorities, whether it's on a federal, state, or local level, or a local police level, be able to catch the perpetrator or perpetrators of these horrific stabbings of these 4 bright college students, and possibly even the other 3 people that may, the authorities say they're not linked, but they sound pretty similar. Sound pretty similar to me, actually. But yeah, a lot of people were asking me, do I think it's a serial killer? I think this is definitely a serial killer type. This is somebody who at least is a chronic sadistic killer. Yeah. So this is somebody who really enjoys it. Somebody who really gets into it. I mean, somebody who actively seeks out this sort of thing. Somebody, I don't think it's just some guy who was just, a creeper, a loner incel out in Idaho and was hanging out by the party places and were like looking for hot girls to go back to their sorority or something. I mean, it could have been that, but do I think it's a jaded ex-boyfriend or some guy who was rejected from the circle? That could also be as well. But I'm really getting a vibe that this dude is a transient traveler, serial killer person. He may live out in the wilderness. It could be, an incel that lives with his grandma in the basement, is some sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre type, creep, some horrific, sadistic, evil person. But who really knows at this point? It's like gigantic speculation. So, and the authorities aren't telling you the gruesome nature of the crimes because they're telling you just enough.
what the public needs to know, and not anything extra, not the dirty. The devil's in the details in this case, I think, and the public won't know the details until the authorities are ready to release that to the public. So until then, nobody really can get. Until then, just most people can just speculate on what's going on here. So, God bless, best success. May the evil killer or killers be found.